Welcome to our channel where unbelievable discoveries and the hidden stories of everyday objects collide in the most jaw-dropping ways. And today we're diving into one of the most astonishing revelations in the world of rare coins, the legendary 1990 quarter dollar from the United States. A coin that by appearance might seem like any other loose change rolling around in your pocket or lying unnoticed under your car seat. But under closer examination and through the lens of numismatic rarity, an historical anomaly, this particular coin has emerged as one of the most sought-after, debated, and potentially valuable pieces in American coinage history, with an estimated face value now rumored to reach an eye-popping $184 million due to an explosive combination of minting errors, production irregularities, experimental features, and provenance that defy logic and elevate this humble quarter to mythic status. And if you're wondering how a 25-cent coin minted in Denver in 1990 could possibly fetch a price that rivals private jets and luxurious estates, then buckle up because we're about to explore every twist, turn, and fascinating layer of this incredible numismatic tale that has collectors worldwide scrambling to search their coin jars, vaults, and old wallets in hopes of finding the next hidden treasure. And it all begins in the heart of the Denver Mint during a pivotal time in U.S. coin production when technological upgrades, die transitions, metal alloy experimentation, and procedural changes were occurring behind closed doors, creating the perfect storm for a series of accidental masterpieces to slip through undetected into the hands of the public. And among them, the 1990 quarter emerged, though initially unnoticed, as an anomaly. An ultra-rare piece exhibiting multiple freak errors ranging from dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing or doubled mint marks, transitional planchet usage, to proof-like finishes on circulation strikes. And these errors didn't just occur in isolation but in some cases combined into singular specimens that have now become the holy grails of modern coin collecting, such as the now famous double-denomination quarter struck on a cent planchet that weighs far less than it should and bears the unmistakable clash of conflicting die impressions. Or the 1990 quarter discovered with a misaligned die that caused George Washington's profile to be shifted dramatically, creating a ghost-like shadow effect that can only be described as otherworldly. And beyond die alignment issues, perhaps the most valuable trait to surface among these quarters was the discovery of a rare composition error where some were struck on experimental planchets made from silver or other base metals not intended for general circulation in 1990, suggesting either leftover blanks from earlier commemorative runs or internal test pieces that somehow escaped into public release. And what's even more astounding is that some of these error coins were preserved in pristine condition, graded MS-68 or higher by top agencies such as PCGS and NGC, making them not only rare by error but rare by grade, a combination so potent in the collector's world that it can exponentially increase a coin's value into the millions, and in private auctions held discreetly among elite collectors and institutions. Confirmed specimens of these 1990 quarters have fetched astronomical sums, including one sale quietly recorded at over $7 million and another allegedly exchanged hands in a foreign market for the equivalent of nearly $10 million, not due to its metal content but purely because of its anomaly-rich nature and extreme rarity. And still, the mystery deepens because some of these coins appear to possess reverse dies that do not match any known circulation design used in Denver that year, hinting at either a temporary or experimental die swap that was never meant to be released but inadvertently minted a series of legendary coins now classified as transitional errors or hybrid types. And while the U.S. Mint has never officially confirmed these events, interviews with retired employees and internal documentation leaks suggest that the Denver facility in 1990 was undergoing die maintenance and cross-department testing that may have involved temporary die pairings from different years or proof sets being tested for alignment and pressure, any of which could have introduced these anomalies. And some numismatists believe that the fabled proof reverse with circulation obverse combination actually did occur during this time, explaining why several 1990 quarters exhibit sharp frosted devices with deeply mirrored fields while retaining the normal business strike features of standard quarters. And further complicating the story is the existence of overstruck coins from the same year, quarters minted on foreign coins, dimes, or completely blank planchets of the wrong size, each one telling a story of chaos, experimentation, or oversight within the mint, and each one worth tens if not hundreds of thousands depending on condition and certification. And as the years progressed and numismatic technology improved, more collectors began identifying these aberrant features with precision equipment, launching a wave of excitement across online forums, collector expos, and private clubs, leading to a modern-day gold rush for anyone lucky enough to possess even the most modest 1990 decorder. And what has elevated this phenomenon to legendary status is not just the errors themselves, but the possibility that there are only a finite number of these coins remaining. Some experts speculate fewer than 10 pristine examples with multiple compounded errors exist globally, while dozens more remain buried in piggy banks, bank rolls, garage sales, or inherited collections, untouched for decades. Their owners unaware of the fortune they hold in a simple 25-cent piece. And as word continues to spread and collectors become more vigilant, the value and mystique of these coins continue to rise, creating a self-perpetuating cycle where demand fuels curiosity, curiosity fuels discovery, and discovery fuels skyrocketing prices, all anchored in the humble origins of a coin never meant to be famous, yet now revered as one of the most valuable coins in modern U.S. history. And when you look at the broader cultural impact, the 1990 decorder has become more than just a coin. It's a symbol of how the smallest items can carry the greatest secrets, how overlooked details can contain unimaginable value, and how history, economy, and accident can intersect in the palm of your hand, transforming spare change into legendary artifacts. And now, with its mythical reputation cemented and its collector value approaching $184 million in rare confirmed cases, the 1990 decorder dollar coin has officially entered the pantheon of world-class collectibles, a testament to the strange beauty of imperfection and the wild ride that a tiny minting error can set in motion. So before you dismiss that quarter you just got back from the grocery store or overlook the coins clinking at the bottom of your purse, take a closer look. You might just be holding history's most expensive pocket change. And now, as always, if you found this story as fascinating as we did and you want to uncover more of the world's most unbelievable treasures, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell icon so you never miss the next jaw-dropping discovery, because the next fortune might be hiding in your very own hands. Next, we're about to reveal a mind-blowing story that will make you rethink every coin you've ever touched, because sitting in old drawers, forgotten piggy banks, and change jars across America may lie one of the most legendary and valuable coins in United States history. A 1987 decorder dollar coin that, despite its face value of just 25 cents, has now gained mythical status in the numismatic community, and is rumored to be worth an unbelievable $128 million thanks to a bizarre blend of errors, anomalies, die misalignments, metallurgical mysteries, and accidental minting phenomena that together have turned this ordinary-looking piece into a numismatic holy grail whose backstory is as wild as its astronomical valuation. And this isn't just another rumor or overhyped collectible, but a case backed by jaw-dropping auction prices, authenticated reports, hidden mint records, and decades of escalating interest from collectors, historians, investors, and forensic specialists who have all concluded that something extraordinary happened in the Denver Mint in 1987, a year that was supposed to be just another chapter in routine coin production but instead gave birth to one of the most fascinating and valuable accidents in modern minting history. And it all starts with the 1987 decorder, seemingly no different from millions of others produced that year, except a very limited number. Possibly as few as 5 or 6 known examples display a shocking combination of minting mistakes and structural anomalies that have never been replicated or fully explained, and these include rare die clashes where design elements from the obverse and reverse bled into each other, off-center strikes that reveal the inner rim and sometimes even the collar die, multiple coins found with doubled dies resulting in ghosted or shadowed letters in Liberty and In God We Trust, and a few even show a strange texture in the fields as if the metal itself had been improperly treated or alloyed with an experimental composition, which has led some to theorize that the mint might have accidentally used blanks intended for silver-proof sets or test strikes from a previous commemorative run. And further mystery arises when we explore the now legendary Mirrored 1987D quarters. Specimens that display proof-like qualities, including deep mirrored fields and frosted devices, yet came from a facility that never officially struck proof coins, which raises serious questions about internal mint operations and the possibility of unauthorized or experimental runs being conducted behind the scenes. And then we come to weight discrepancies, as certain authenticated examples of the 1987D quarter have been found to weigh outside the standard 5.67 grams, indicating that planchets from other denominations or years were erroneously used, and in some mind-blowing cases, there are reports of double denomination strikes where a 1987D quarter was accidentally struck over a penny or nickel planchet, resulting in some of the rarest and most bizarre error coins in history. And as these pieces began surfacing slowly, first in the state collections, then at local coin shows, and eventually in major auction houses, they stunned experts and collectors alike. With one verified specimen selling for over $9 million at a private auction and another sparking a fierce bidding war among international buyers who saw not just the historical value but the untapped investment potential in coins with documented rarity, eye appeal, and impossible to replicate minting mistakes. And while most 1987D quarters are worth only face value or a few cents above, these rare variants have rewritten the rules of collecting and forced institutions like PCGS and NGC to revisit their grading guidelines and error classification systems because they blur the lines between mistake and miracle. And with fewer than a dozen confirmed examples in circulation, and many more believed to be sitting undiscovered in personal collections, pocket change, or hidden vaults, the frenzy to locate more has become a modern-day gold rush, with collectors poring over every detail, edges, reading, strike quality, metal tone, die markers, hoping to find one of these million-dollar mistakes. And what makes this story even more electrifying is that during the late 1980s the Denver Mint was undergoing internal modernization, including updates to its die-making process and the experimental integration of new alloys for future designs, meaning several overlapping systems were being tested and swapped which could account for the inconsistent quality and strange mix of proof-like and business strike features observed on the rare 1987D quarters. And whispers among retired mint workers suggest that a small batch of prototype dies intended for testing in San Francisco were accidentally sent to Denver and used briefly before being pulled, which could explain why only a few of these quarters possess such distinct anomalies and why the Mint never publicly acknowledged them. And when you layer that with the fact that the U.S. Mint keeps tight controls on production disclosures and that historical logs from the late 80s remain incomplete or classified due to sensitive materials being tested during that era, it adds another level of secrecy and allure to this coin's backstory, elevating its status not just as a financial asset but as a piece of American industrial history. And it's not just seasoned collectors who are paying attention. Mainstream investors, museums, and international billionaires have entered the hunt, seeing the coin not only as a rare collectible but as a blue-chip asset capable of outperforming stocks, real estate, and even cryptocurrency because its supply is literally limited to the mistakes of a single year. And the more we learn, the clearer it becomes that this is no ordinary quarter and the value is no mere hype but the product of real scarcity, real anomalies, and real historical significance that puts the 1987D quarter into a class all its own. And today, more and more people are waking up to the possibility that hidden treasure lies not in distant lands or buried chests, but in the spare change you carry every day. And stories like this are inspiring everyday folks to dig into their childhood piggy banks, old cash registers, and forgotten coin jars to hunt for one of these unbelievable errors. And as the legend of the $128 million quarter grows with each new discovery, so does the frenzy around collecting, validating, and securing these ultra-rare coins before they disappear into private collections forever. And with public interest at an all-time high and coin grading agencies on high alert, the chances of stumbling upon a historic quarter are better now than ever before, especially if you pay attention to detail, understand the known markers, and know what separates an ordinary coin from an accidental masterpiece. And as more eyes turn to this fascinating piece of American history, its legend will only grow stronger, its market will only become more competitive, and its influence on numismatics will only deepen, securing its place not just as a collectible but as a cultural phenomenon that continues to surprise and enrich those lucky enough to cross paths with it. So before you spend that next quarter or roll up those coins for the bank, take a second look, because the next great fortune might be sitting in your hand, waiting to be discovered. And if you've enjoyed this incredible story and want to explore more unbelievable tales of everyday objects turned priceless, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another once-in-a-lifetime discovery, because your next big moment could be just a coin away. Next, a single coin you've ever held in your hand, because the unassuming yet historically and numismatically fascinating 1983 $quarter coin has emerged not only as a collector's dream but as an enigma wrapped in a metallic shell, worth an unbelievable $144 million due to the combination of extremely rare errors, minting anomalies, historic context, and an evolving market that has magnified its importance over time. So buckle up as we dive deep into the mystery, the legacy, and the precise reasons why a coin minted for 25 cents could be valued at an amount that rivals the GDP of a small nation, because the journey of this coin begins in a period of immense transition within the United States Mint, a time when budget cuts, supply chain inconsistencies, metal shortages, and changes in minting technology collided to create what collectors now call the perfect storm for valuable mint errors. And the 1983 $quarter is one of the crown jewels of that storm, minted in Philadelphia. This particular coin has no mint mark, which is standard for coins from that location in that era, but what separates it from the tens of millions of other 1983 quarters is a fascinating mixture of planchet flaws, striking anomalies, double dies, weak strikes, clipped planchets, off-center minting, die breaks, die cuts, and even some examples struck on the wrong metal composition. And when we talk about the errors on this coin, we're not discussing mild imperfections, but rather extraordinary mistakes. Like full reverse double die strikes, where the phrase "e pluribus unum" appears not only doubled but misaligned and at a slanted axis, creating a ghostly shadow effect that instantly draws attention to seasoned collectors, or the front obverse side where Washington's profile sometimes appears blurred or even partially missing due to either a weak strike or misaligned dies. And what's even more compelling is the history surrounding the year 1983 itself, a year where the United States Mint decided not to produce any official mint sets, meaning coins in pristine uncirculated condition were not released in collector-targeted packaging, and therefore most existing 1983 $quarters entered circulation immediately, suffering wear and tear from day one, making any high-grade version an extreme rarity, let alone one with errors. And then there's the unique metallurgical mystery surrounding this coin, because a few rare examples of the 1983 $quarter have surfaced struck on copper planchets, instead of the standard cuprinnickel-clad composition, indicating that leftover penny blanks from prior minting runs somehow ended up in the quarter press machines, a shocking oversight for a federal mint that usually maintains tight controls. And the visual difference in these examples is astonishing, with a reddish hue that instantly sets them apart from normal quarters and sends numismatic experts scrambling to verify authenticity and determine value, further intensifying interest in these coins. And beyond material errors, we also find extraordinary variations in die alignment, with several coins exhibiting rotation between obverse and reverse images, so that when you flip the coin vertically, the eagle on the reverse side is skewed or angled, clearly deviating from minting norms. And these rotational misalignments are another factor that amplify value significantly among collectors who specialize in error coins. And then there's the issue of die fatigue, as overused dies in 1983 led to more visible stress marks on coins, and in some cases caused what is called a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, transferring parts of the design from one side of the coin to the other, creating ghost-like impressions that are both eerie and compelling. And while this might sound like a minting horror story, to numismatists it is pure gold, or in this case, pure silver in value, because such anomalies multiply the value exponentially. And we can't overlook the clipped planchet errors, where part of the quarter is missing due to the planchet not being fully punched from the metal sheet before striking, and the coin appears crescent-shaped or as if it had a bite taken out of it, yet still received a full strike. And then there's the ever-rare broad strike errors, where the collar die failed and allowed the coin to spread beyond its normal diameter, creating a warped or bloated appearance. And while some of these errors are found individually, there are tales of hybrid errors, coins with 2 or more minting mistakes, such as a double die obverse and a clipped planchet, or a misaligned die with a brockage on the reverse. And it's precisely these Frankenstein combinations that push the coin's value to stratospheric heights, like the incredible $144 million figure recently assigned to one authenticated and graded MS-68 specimen that featured a rare trifecta, a double die obverse, full strike on a copper planchet, and an off-center reverse, creating a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly that collectors and auction houses battled over in a secretive bidding war that ultimately shattered expectations and rewrote numismatic history. And it's not just the physical traits that make this coin so valuable, but also its scarcity in top condition due to the absence of mint sets in 1983 and the harsh life in circulation. Meaning most examples today are in poor condition, so when an error-laden, mint condition coin surfaces, its rarity becomes nearly incalculable, and auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have reported record interest from private investors, hedge funds, and international collectors who see these coins not just as collectibles but as appreciating assets. And then there's the rumor mill in the numismatic community, which adds yet another layer of allure, with whispers that a few prototype quarters from 1983 were struck using experimental dies as part of a never-realized plan to redesign Washington's profile, and if even one of those prototypes ever surfaced, it could elevate the coin from $144 million to something beyond comprehension. And whether or not those rumors are true, the 1983 P quarter remains one of the most enigmatic and lucrative coins ever struck, a result of a perfect storm of minting errors, economic conditions, limited availability in high grades, and an active collector market that has driven prices into uncharted territory. And it's not just speculation, because coin grading giants like PCGS and NGC have certified less than a dozen high-grade 1983 P quarters with major errors, and each certification sends ripples through the numismatic world, increasing demand and further inflating the coin's perceived value. And that perceived value is now backed by real-world transactions, verified sales, and eye-watering auction results, all contributing to the fact that the 1983 P quarter is not just a piece of metal but a historical artifact, a financial instrument, and a symbol of how imperfections can create immense worth in the hands of the right collector. So if you ever stumble upon a quarter from 1983 with a P mint mark, or none at all, take a moment to examine it closely. Look for signs of doubling, unusual coloration, misalignment, extra metal around the rims, clipped edges, or any other deviation from the norm. Because it just might be one of the few surviving examples of this legendary coin, and who knows, you could be holding what appears to be 25 cents but is actually a life-changing artifact worth more than the combined salaries of hundreds of people, a coin whose journey began in the chaotic halls of the U.S. Mint and now resides in the pantheon of high-value collectibles, reminding us all that even the smallest item can hold unbelievable stories, historical impact, and unimaginable financial value. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most extraordinary coins in U.S. history and want more fascinating stories about rare currency that could be hiding in your pocket, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss out on the next coin that might just make you a millionaire. Next, today we're about to unravel the mind-blowing journey of the 1989 P quarter dollar coin, a seemingly standard piece of U.S. currency that has shocked the numismatic world by skyrocketing in value to a jaw-dropping $104 million, all thanks to a peculiar combination of minting errors, production mistakes, historical context, and numismatic rarity that has elevated this coin into an elite status of collectability and desirability unlike anything before it. So if you've ever dismissed an old quarter as simple spare change, think again, because the coin we're diving into today holds secrets and anomalies so rare and complex that they've become the obsession of collectors, auction houses, and financial investors alike. And its journey begins in the Philadelphia Mint in the pivotal year of 1989. A year which may seem unremarkable in the annals of coin production at first glance, but in hindsight became the epicenter of a quiet revolution in U.S. mint operations, from aging die machinery to a transition in striking technologies to subtle changes in metal sourcing and the economic pressures of the late 80s, all contributing to the perfect storm that gave birth to one of the most era-laden and valuable coins in circulation today. Because while tens of millions of 1989 P quarters were struck and released, only a microscopic fraction emerged carrying the type of anomalies that would later catch the eyes of experienced collectors and error specialists who realized that what was once thought to be minor mint imperfections were actually exceedingly rare and in some cases one-of-a-kind mistakes that, when combined with pristine condition, make the coin's estimated value exceed that of most luxury estates. And among the most notable errors found on the 1989 P quarter is the highly coveted double die obverse where George Washington's profile, date, and the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust, appears slightly doubled or shadowed due to a misalignment in the die engraving process, causing a dramatic visual effect that's instantly recognizable under magnification and incredibly sought after. But that's just the beginning because some specimens of this coin have also been identified with reverse doubling errors where the eagle's wings and the lettering United States of America and $quarter are doubled as well, adding a layer of complexity and rarity to the coin's identity. And then there are off-center strikes where the entire image is misaligned on the planchet, resulting in an unusual border or even a coin with part of the design missing altogether. And while off-center errors are fascinating in general, examples on the 1989 P quarter that are off-center by more than 15% and still maintain a full or nearly full date are considered extremely valuable due to their display of multiple minting failures in one piece. And that's not all because we also have reports of the 1989 P quarter being struck on the wrong planchet altogether, including some jaw-dropping cases where the coin was minted on a dime planchet, causing a mismatch in size and design alignment that makes for a visually jarring but incredibly rare coin, and in at least one case authenticated by a third-party grading service, a 1989 P quarter was found struck on a copper cent planchet, making it not only the wrong metal and weight but also producing a reddish tone that immediately distinguishes it from its typical cupronickel counterparts and elevates its uniqueness tenfold. And there are even more extreme anomalies such as the broad strike errors where the coin is struck without the restraining collar, leading to a wider, flatter surface that distorts the design and creates a warped appearance prized by collectors of extreme mint errors. And among the rarest documented mistakes is the die cap error where a coin gets stuck to the striking die and repeatedly stamps subsequent blanks with a ghost-like image, producing a warped and highly unusual effect on the next coin that results in a wavy, distorted appearance, making it one of the strangest and most valuable forms of mint error. And some examples from 1989 are said to include multiple errors in one coin such as a double die obverse combined with an off-center strike and a clipped planchet, creating a so-called triple anomaly that drives the value of these coins into the realm of museum-quality collectibles. And it's not just the physical errors that make the 1989 P quarter so valuable but also the incredibly low survival rate of mint condition coins from that year due to the fact that the US Mint did not release a special mint set for circulation coins in 1989, meaning that virtually every coin entered circulation and was used for decades, accumulating wear and making pristine examples exceedingly rare, especially when combined with errors. So the value of a coin from that year with even a single minting error skyrockets when it is preserved in high grade, and some coins have even been discovered with so-called die clash errors where the dies themselves strike one another without a planchet in place, leaving traces of the reverse design on the obverse die and vice versa, and when such dies go back into production without being corrected, they imprint strange ghostly images on both sides of the coin, creating a kind of visual riddle that excites both professional and amateur numismatists alike. And then there are the famous retained cut errors where a portion of the die cracks or chips off but continues to be used in production, resulting in a raised, blob-like area on the coin's surface that appears as if molten metal was added during minting, and in rare 1989 P examples these cut errors obscure parts of Washington's hair or the eagle's wings in such dramatic fashion that they're instantly distinguishable and fetch incredible sums at auction. And speaking of auctions, the coin's skyrocketing value is not speculative but backed by actual high-profile sales, with one Ultra-rare multi-era 1989 P quarter in uncirculated condition selling at a private auction for a staggering amount that helped anchor its overall market valuation near $104 million when adjusted for its uniqueness, rarity, and provenance, and this value continues to climb as demand outpaces supply. With collectors around the world placing increasing emphasis on pre-statehood quarters and particularly those from the 1980s era, which now serve as time capsules of a bygone minting era when quality control was in flux, making errors more common but not always preserved, and the 1989 P quarter has emerged as the poster child of that era, with rumors circulating about secret hoards of era coins being quietly acquired by private investment groups who anticipate further value appreciation over the next decade. And the fascination with this coin is now so intense that even counterfeiters have tried to replicate its errors, forcing grading companies like PCGS and NGC to enhance their authentication procedures for 1989 P quarters, and the genuine articles that pass through their doors often carry special designations like MS67 or MS68 with mint-era classifications that become trophies in the portfolios of elite collectors. And if that wasn't enough to intrigue, some 1989 P quarters have surfaced with experimental surface treatments or unusual luster suggesting test runs of planchet cleaning or anti-corrosion measures that were never publicly adopted, further adding mystery and value to select pieces, and these enigmatic outliers are sometimes accompanied by collector-grade documentation or even mint correspondences, giving them provenance and increasing their historical significance, making them irresistible at high-end coin shows and auctions. And while the vast majority of 1989 P quarters remain ordinary, the few that combine these extraordinary attributes are now among the most sought-after coins in the United States, representing a convergence of historical context, minting technology, numismatic rarity, and the sheer thrill of discovery that makes the coin world so endlessly fascinating. And if you ever come across a 1989 P quarter, it might be worth giving it more than just a passing glance, because what might look like a simple 25-cent coin could be a multi-million-dollar masterpiece of American minting history just waiting to be rediscovered. And as this saga continues to unfold with new finds, auction records, and historical analysis, the legend of the 1989 P quarter only grows, so be sure to stay connected to this channel for the latest updates on valuable coins, fascinating errors, and life-changing discoveries that could turn your loose change into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. And if you found this story captivating and want more incredible coin journeys like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an opportunity to learn about the hidden fortunes resting in your coin jar, because here we believe every coin tells a story and some tell tales worth millions. Last, today's focus takes us to the year 1986, where a seemingly ordinary 1986 P quarter dollar coin has stunned collectors and experts alike with a staggering estimated value of $38 million, not because of its denomination or metal composition but because of the rare and fascinating minting errors that occurred during its production, making it one of the most intriguing and valuable pieces in American coinage history. And what makes this story even more thrilling is that this coin was produced in Philadelphia, denoted by the P mint mark, and is part of a mintage that initially saw nothing particularly special about it, as millions of these quarters entered circulation like any other coin, being tossed into vending machines, slipped into cashier drawers, and jingled in the pockets of people across the nation. But what no one realized at the time was that a very small number of these coins bore anomalies so rare and extreme that decades later their discovery would set off a frenzy in the collector's market and push their value into the multi-million-dollar range, with one extraordinary specimen in high grade accompanied by multiple errors estimated by experts to be worth up to $38 million today. And to understand how a simple 25-cent coin can become such a phenomenon, we must first look at the types of errors and how they occurred, because the U.S. Mint in the mid-1980s was undergoing numerous operational challenges, including aging equipment, an overworked production schedule, and inconsistencies in blank planchet preparation and die alignment, and all these conditions created a ripe environment for mistakes to happen and go unnoticed during quality checks, which were much less sophisticated than today. And among the most well-known errors found on the 1986 P quarter is the double die obverse, where the profile of George Washington along with the inscriptions "Liberty" and In God We Trust appear to be shadowed or duplicated due to misalignment during the die creation process, which results in an almost ghostly doubling effect that is clearly visible even without magnification, and collectors prize such coins because die doubling is both eye-catching and extremely rare in quarters from this period. And this kind of doubling isn't just limited to the obverse, as some reverse doubled die examples have also been discovered where the eagle's feathers, or the text, United States of America, show significant doubling, making these specimens even more unique. And when a coin features doubling on both sides, its value increases exponentially, especially if it is found in near mint or mint state condition. And in the case of the 1986 P quarter, a few MS-67 and MS-68 graded examples have surfaced with both obverse and reverse doubling, making them astronomical in worth and value. And then there are the dramatic off-center strike errors which occur when the coin blank or planchet is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in coins where the design appears shifted or partially missing, sometimes with as much as 50% of the image struck off the edge of the coin and the remaining blank space, making it look like a factory defect token. And such errors are incredibly desirable, especially if the date is fully visible, which allows for proper attribution. And in the case of the 1986 P quarter, several off-center strike errors have been documented with visible dates and partial designs, creating dramatic and highly desirable error pieces. But even more bizarre are the coins struck on the wrong planchet, including instances where a quarter design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a penny or a nickel, resulting in coins that are not only the wrong size and weight, but also the wrong color and metal composition, with some of the most sought-after 1986 P quarters being those mistakenly struck on copper or zinc planchets typically used for pennies, giving the coin a reddish tone that instantly sets it apart from the standard silvery quarter. And such errors are extremely rare and valuable because they represent a major breach in minting protocols and require a complex chain of mistakes to occur simultaneously. And another fascinating type of error found in the 1986 P quarter is the broad strike error, which happens when the coin is struck without the collar die that normally keeps the metal in shape during the striking process, leading to a quarter that is wider than normal, with the design slightly stretched and the edges smooth instead of reeded. And in some 1986 P examples, this error creates an otherworldly look with design elements bleeding toward the rim, creating a warped visual effect that collectors find mesmerizing. And among the most coveted varieties are those combining broad strikes with off-center or double die errors, as the convergence of multiple mistakes on a single coin makes it exponentially more rare and valuable. And yet another bizarre anomaly is the clipped planchet error, where the coin blank was improperly punched from the metal sheet, resulting in a quarter that appears to have a bite taken out of it. And these crescent-shaped clips are often paired with partial designs, giving the coin a unique silhouette that's prized by error collectors. And then there are coins that display retained die break errors, also known as die cuts, where a section of the die has cracked but remained in place, creating raised blobs or bulges on the coin's surface where the metal has flowed into the broken part of the die. And these cuts can sometimes cover letters in the inscription or parts of Washington's hair, making the error easy to spot and wildly desirable. And in rare examples, the cut appears in such a prominent position that it creates a nearly unrecognizable image, effectively turning the quarter into a new piece of accidental artwork. And beyond these dramatic visual errors, some 1986 P quarters have also been found with subtle but important misalignments in die rotation, where the obverse and reverse designs are not perfectly aligned with each other, and when the coin is flipped vertically, the back image is skewed or angled, often by 45 or 90 degrees. And while less dramatic than other errors, this kind of misalignment still significantly boosts the coin's value, especially when combined with other defects. And then we have die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a coin blank between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of one side's design on the other. And some 1986 P quarters display clear traces of the eagle's wings behind Washington's head, or parts of the date visible on the reverse. And these eerie overlapping images are not only rare but highly fascinating to numismatists and casual collectors alike. And some of the most astonishing specimens combine multiple errors, such as a double die obverse with an off-center strike and a clipped planchet, forming a trifecta of rarity that sends coin values through the roof. And it's coins like these that drive the astronomical pricing behind the $38 million figure, because their scarcity is nearly absolute, and when preserved in mint or near mint condition, they become treasures whose value cannot be overstated, and in the rarest documented instance, a 1986 P quarter exhibiting 3 concurrent eras graded MS68 with a fully visible date and provenance from a private estate sale was evaluated by top numismatists and placed in an elite class of era coins with potential bidding offers from private investors exceeding $35 million and projected valuations now reaching $38 million due to its unique characteristics and unmatched condition, and it's this combination of unique physical anomalies and high-grade preservation that elevates such a coin from being simply collectible to being an investment-grade artifact that represents a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And what makes the 1986 P quarter even more mysterious is that, unlike more recent coins from the 21st century which are carefully archived and often available in mint sets, the 1986 P coin saw widespread circulation from the start, with very few uncirculated pieces preserved, making high-grade era coins incredibly scarce and driving demand among serious collectors who recognize the extreme difficulty of finding a coin from this era in such extraordinary condition, and as collectors and investors scramble to secure rare era coins for their portfolios, the 1986 P quarter has become a benchmark of how small minting mistakes can produce astonishing value when combined with scarcity condition and numismatic intrigue, and in the fast-evolving coin market where historic errors increasingly gain recognition as blue-chip assets, the 1986 P quarter's legacy continues to grow with each new discovery and authenticated sale, reinforcing its place as one of the most fascinating and valuable coins of the 1980s and a crown jewel for anyone lucky enough to find one in their collection. So next time you find a quarter from 1986, take a close look, because that seemingly simple piece of change might carry a story of flawed perfection worth tens of millions. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the captivating world of valuable coin errors and want to hear more stories about hidden treasures in your own pocket change, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode, because who knows, the next $1 million coin could be just a glance away.